So we gather together in this brand new day, this brand new year, this brand new time, remembering as we move forward each and every day that we have the ability to co-create this life of good, to bring about our good, because that is what Spirit has waiting on tap for us at all times. I know that we are surrounded, that we are imbued. Every cell, fiber, atom, and tissue of our being is imbued with this presence, with this essence that we know to be God, Spirit, the divine, by whatever name you call it. It is that essence of beauty, of truth, of love, of joy, of peace, of all things that we call good and more. And so I know that this service brings about a new joy, a new day for each one of us, that our hearts open, that our minds open, that we blossom in the spirit of togetherness, the spirit of oneness, which brings us all right here, right now, wherever we are in any moment. If you'd like to affirm this for yourself, please join me in saying, and so it is. Amen.
Life is a journey, not a destination. There are no mistakes, just chances we've taken. Lay down your regrets, 'cause all we have is now. Wake up in the morning and get out of bed. Start making a mental list in my head of all of the things that I am grateful for. Early in the morning, it's the dawn of a new day, new hopes, new dreams, new ways. I open up my eyes and I open up my mind, and I wonder how life will surprise me today. Early in the morning, it's the dawn of a new day, new hopes, new dreams, new ways. I open up my heart and I'm gonna do my part and make this a positively beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Life is a challenge, not a competition. You can still smell the roses and be on a mission. Just take a moment to get in touch with your heart. Sometimes you feel like you've got something to prove. Remind yourself there's only one you, and just take a moment, give thanks for who you are. Early in the morning, it's the dawn of a new day, new hopes, new dreams, new ways. I open up my mind and I open up my eyes, and I wonder how life will surprise me today. Early in the morning, it's the dawn of a new day, new hopes, new dreams, new ways. I open up my heart and I'm gonna do my part and make this a positively beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a marvelous day. Life is a journey, not a destination. There are no mistakes, just chances we've taken. Lay down your regrets, 'cause all we have is now.
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year to you all. Oh, let's do this thing. I just put in the chat. You might want to have a pen and a piece of paper handy today, I think. But let's just take that moment and take a breath together, knowing that across time and space, there is no time and space. And here we are in this room, sharing this moment where we harmonize our hearts and our minds and with each other by saying, well, first of all, taking those big 3 deep breaths and saying with me out loud in your home, care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Oh, so it's 2022 and here we are once again in the comfort of our own warm homes. And I gotta say, when I looked at the temperature this morning, I was kind of glad that we had made this decision anyway. So, because it was, I don't know, like -3 when we got up. So it's good to see you all and to consider this theme for the month of everyday wonder. And it's funny because I feel like I just talked about this. I didn't go back and look, but I think I just talked about wonder and everyday wonder. And what that means to me is that I probably need to learn it a little more deeply and to practice it just a little bit more in my life. And so I appreciate your indulgence, I guess, in my needing to learn it again. And what I really appreciate this day is that we're all on this ride together, that you're on this ride of life with me, and that and what I really know is that these are not do it alone times in the world. So those of you who were able to gather last week with Reverend Leah had a beautiful opportunity to do some blessing and releasing to set the new year in motion. And I love those moments, those release moments where we recognize what doesn't serve us any longer. And what I've come to realize is that true release, at least for me, rarely happens in a moment. That when I start to release something, what happens is it sets in motion this part of my heart that wants to be free of something, but it brings in opportunities for me to practice that freedom and for me to practice that release in a more profound and deep way. So, and that, I think that happens whether it's freedom from something or freedom to embrace something more in life. The universe seems to bring us opportunities to embrace the healing and expansion. And so it might feel for a little while like the opposite happens, like I released this thing and now this thing is back in my face again. And while that is the circumstance that may occur, the truth underneath is that an opportunity to practice is to grow our capacity for the moreness. I hope this is making sense. Because I can't see you nodding, which is one of the things I miss when we're not in the room together. I'm just going to call it out. I miss seeing you nod. So, but I guess what I really want to say about that is that this beginning of the year thing that we do, where we embrace and we release and we accept and we make promises to ourselves, is to be patient with what comes. That this is a time for profound patience and kindness with ourselves and with others. So I was thinking about all this, and I kind of wondered if you've ever created a theme for yourself for the coming year. We've all been down the resolution road a number of times in our lives. I'm sure everybody's done that. My favorite meme right now is one that's floating around that is about opening a gym called Resolutions, and it starts as a place to work out, and then halfway through January it turns into a wine bar. And I signed up for that one. So anyway, resolutions, been there, failed at that. And then came this intention setting, this idea of intention setting. And I find intention setting to be a bit like resolutions, but softer and with fewer rules. And even at that, I'm like, maybe now is not that time. Maybe it is for you, awesome. But for me, it's not that time. What I'm getting this year is a theme. To set a theme for my life and for for those of you who did the release and accept, in your acceptance is probably already a theme. But I think themes lean toward greater life expression, more of what we love moving through our experience in an everyday sort of way without having to create efforting and without having to create to-do lists about it, but in a place of acceptance and expectancy. You know, more of what we love moving through our experience. So if there's anything we've had to a chance to examine in the pandemic, I think it's the questions of what do we really love in our life? And if we have had the chance to slow down and consider those things, then awesome. Some of us have not so much. So I want to do a little, call it a 3-minute meditation. This is going to be, I know you all know how to meditate, so this is going to be a jump to center moment. One of my foundations teacher, who happened to be Dr. Michelle Madrano, who is now at Mile High Church and who used to be at Huntington Beach, used to say that to us in foundations class, jump to center. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable, like this is when you might want to have that pencil handy, and maybe not if you're a person who remembers things better than I do. Just take a couple deep breaths with me. Settle into whatever chair or couch or space that you happen to be in this moment. And relax your body into this question, into this time. If you're not comfortable doing it in front of everybody, you can turn off your video and that's okay. Just take a deep breath. This is going to be kind of a tough question. So I want you to really anchor into yourself and into the place of knowing just how loved you are in this world, and breathe into this idea of peace and love and harmony. And then I want you to imagine that you go to bed tonight and you're sleeping peacefully, and you wake up tomorrow morning with a knowing. And that knowing is that you have 1 year left to spend on this planet. You have 1 year. And you know this with every fiber of your being. You have 1 year. And just contemplate for a moment what rises to the top as the things that you will want to do, be, see, embrace in this 1 year. And be where you are right now, in the physical body that you are in right now, in the financial place that you are right now, in the job that you are right now. Over the year, what is it that you will want to embrace, to love, to be with, and to experience? I'm going to sit with that for just a second. Then I want you to move forward 12 hours and you're getting ready to go to bed again. And you're at peace with the decisions that you've made for this year. And then you go to sleep, you sleep peacefully. You wake up, and you wake up with the knowing that you have 1 week. You have 1 week. What then rises to the top of your awareness? What will you do? What will you see? What will you allow yourself to experience? What is it that you will truly embrace in 1 week? And then you breathe and you find yourself at peace with what has arisen for you. And you move ahead 12 hours. And you go to sleep at peace. And you wake up and you know that you have this day. You have this day. And what then rises to the top? What will you do? Who will you be with? How will you be? Now you move yourself at peace, a profound peace, back into a rest and a sleep. And you wake up knowing that you have the rest of your life to consider what just rose for you. You have the rest of your life to know what it is that is important, what you will embrace, what you want to love, what you want to experience, and how you want to experience it. And as you come back into this time and space and knowing, I know that you can come back to these questions. I did say this was going to be a 3-minute meditation. And I would guess that in your first couple of answers lies a theme that you might want to embrace for this year. And I'm guessing that none of that started with, I'd spend more time at work or at things I don't love or at things I don't even like. It's kind of a tough questions, but it's also a beautiful opportunity to really sit in what's important, what really matters to us in really profound ways. I have had the privilege of spending the last 40 days with, I don't know, I think there's 24 people who signed up to be in the GratiChat loops that we've been doing for the last 40 days since Thanksgiving. And watching the amount of gratitude that is expressed every single day amongst 24 people has been a profound and privileged experience. And I want you to know that we are, as a community, just overflowing with good feeling and good life and good love. So Nadia Boltz-Weber, who is a Lutheran pastor out of Denver, kind of a radical in the Lutheran movement, really a radical in the Lutheran movement, and doesn't have a church anymore because now she's famous and wrote a book. So she posted a blessing for the new year that I wanted to share with you. And I asked Reverend Jenny to read it for me. So she's going to pop on and read this.
A blessing for the new year. As you enter this new year, as you pack away the Christmas decorations and get out your stretchy pants, as you face the onslaught of false promises offered you through new disciplines and elimination diets, as you grasp for control of yourself and your life in this chaotic world, may you remember that there is no resolution that, if kept, will make you more worthy of love. There is no resolution that, if kept, will make life less uncertain and allow you to control a pandemic and your children and the way other people act. So this year, may you just skip the part where you resolve to be better, do better, look better this time. May you give yourself the gift of really, really low expectations. May you expect so little of yourself that you can be super proud of the smallest of accomplishments. May you expect so little of the people in your life that you actually notice and cherish every small, lovely thing about them. May you expect so little of the supply chain and the service industry that you notice more of what you do get and less of what you don't, and then just tip really well anyhow. May you expect to get so little out of 2022 that you can celebrate every single thing it offers you, however small, because you deserve joy and not disappointment. And so I wish you as happy as possible a new year.
So I got to tell you, I went like 2 ways on this. Really hard, kind of in 2 ways. And first, I found it comforting and brilliant and true and lovely. that we are absolutely worthy of love, and the knowing and understanding of that at a deeper level. And then I went down the road of this is a time for setting rising expectations of ourselves and pushing ourselves towards our dreams and our desires, and setting the bar high for ourselves. And this felt like the opposite to me of how we normally start the year and how I actually normally do a talk at the beginning of the year. And because I really believe that the core of his teaching, which is what we think is what we are bringing into our experience, and that changing our thinking changes our lives, and that setting that bar of expectation brings those things to us. And that is also comforting and brilliant and true. And I'm wondering if we are all following the white rabbit that's running down the white rabbit hole in my head right now. One of the traps of this idea that what we think we create is the idea that we create all of it. And we create this illusion of control. And I think part of the shedding of this last couple of years is really recognizing how it is not our control of circumstances. It is our control and our response. We have very little control out there. We did not bring about COVID. We didn't ask that our loved ones be dying in this last year. We didn't ask that they be ill. We didn't create the fire that just took 1,000 people's homes in our backyard. The control that we have, and the control that we develop through spiritual practice, if you want to call it control, is in our response to life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in any of those moments, are we responding from a place of love or lack? Are we responding from a place of faith or of fear? Are we responding with good intention or intentionless anger? How are we living through these things and in these things, not denying them the power over our state of well-being? Our state of well-being is internal. Our state of well-being has yes, some things to do with our circumstances. It is way easier to feel like in a place of well-being from the warmth of our homes, and that we're not out living on a corner someplace hoping that somebody will give us a buck. It is a lot easier. This is a privileged place to talk about a state of well-being. And I recognize that. And I give from a place of knowing that well-being can be shared, and that there is an abundance for all, and an abundance within my life that allows me to share freely without fear, because I can always know that my resources, my supply is unlimited, because God is my source. And that is the thing that develops through spiritual practice. That is the place of peace that develops through spiritual practice. And I think the measure of our faith and our practice shows up in our responses. And I thought, is it that we are saying, as we look at things, there, but for the grace of God go I, like we are the lucky exception? Because if there's anything that we've learned in this last 2 years, is that we might have been lucky so far, but we're not we're just not. There's no exceptions. Things happen to everyone. Things that are hard happen to everyone. They have been happening to people that we love. But what we can say is, there, with the grace of God go I, in a recognition that everything that happens in the one mind and the one life, and we feel our feelings about it, and then we dig in and help in whatever way we are called and able to help. And that's the call, to be in common unity, to be in community in a deeper way, in whatever that means to us. When we do this, what I can tell you with every fiber of my being is that every fiber of our being comes to understand the vast circular nature of life. And that when it is our turn, others will walk with us through whatever crazy life happens to throw at us. It really is about where we turn our focus and our attention. And there is so much comfort in the truth of that. We are loved. We can be at peace. We can deal with whatever comes to us. Or even sometimes what feels like comes at us, we can deal with it, and we can deal with it together, and we can hold hands across time and space and be in it and be in love in it. Ernest Holmes said, one by one, without frenzy or impatience, I am going to remove the mental blocks that stand between me and my destiny. What thought has done, thought can undo. The mental patterns laid down in my subconscious throughout the ages can be consciously removed. I can remove my thoughts of doubt, my thoughts of fear, my thoughts of lack, my thoughts of separation, one by one on my own. He then went on to say, this great thing within me, which is called will or choice, can decide my destiny. It can remove every obstruction and gradually implant new patterns in my mind. I am going to remove the mental blocks that stand between me and my destiny. This all kind of came together for me as I was staring out the window, contemplating this talk and trying to figure out what the thing to say at the beginning of this year. This year, such an interesting time we're in. And we are so fortunate in so many ways, so many of us. But it all kind of came together. I was staring out the window and I'll try to describe this. In our backyard, we have one of those like whirly art things, and it's got two blades of kind of leaf shaped things, and one moves this way and one moves that way. And it had snowed, and ours is like right under a pine tree. And so there's this blanket of snow on the pine tree. And you know how still it gets when after it snows. It was actually still snowing just a little tiny bit. There was like this barely breeze. And so the blades were just moving ever so slowly. And I realized that when I watch one spot, if it comes together and it feels like a flower petal, or it looks like a flower petal, comes together like this, and then it moves, and then it comes together, and then they come together again. And you can kind of stare at one spot and watch them come together and come together. And then when I focus on another part of it, what happens is I'm watching it open, and it looks like a bird in flight like this. And you can just stare at it, slowly moving and pulling apart and opening and flying. And I realized that I can watch in contemplation of the flower or the bird, or I can turn my attention to the mechanics and the how, and I can tell myself that it's just simply two pieces of metal rotating in opposite directions in the wind. And why get all caught up in it? And it was such a juxtaposition. It was like so clear, mechanics or wonder. And I thought, that's really the way of all things, isn't it? We can talk about how it's working, what it's working now, why it's working, what's happening, what's not happening. We can talk about politics. We can talk about all the mechanics. Or we can talk about the wonder and focus on the wonder of life in the simple things, in the movement of a couple of pieces of metal coming together or going apart, in the snowfall, in all of the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who are right now doing something to help the people who have been impacted by COVID, by fire, by illness of any kind. We can see it in the wonder in our own community and how we've come together to care for people who have been ill or who are ill, how we all pitch in when it's time to do that. And be in wonder at the grace and the heart. And Paulo Coelho, I'm always afraid I'm butchering his name when I finally say it. Paulo Coelho wrote in The Alchemist, "It is the simple things in life that are the most extraordinary. Only the wise are able to understand them." And so my hope for all of us is that we get a little more wisdom this year, that we become a little more wise in finding the simple things that are the most extraordinary. Or as Nadia said, we stare and wonder at what arrives and not so freaked out about what doesn't arrive. And so your homework this week, if you'd like to have some, is to find your theme. Find our theme. Theme allows the universe, because this stuff, I'm going to just say again, this teaching, it works. It works when you do it, when you put it on a piece of paper, when you write it down, when you actually turn your thinking towards it, when you move your heart and your mind in the direction of the love and the life that you love, the universe will arrange itself around that. It arranges itself around your desire, around your faith, around your hopes and your dreams. And a theme gives you time to grow into it so that you can allow it to happen. Because there is a space where things are already happening in your favor and in movement towards you, and it's happening all the time. And then there's often a space. I don't know if you do this, but there is a space in me that blocks a lot of it. We used to call it God blocking. I'm going to go back to that. You know, there is sometimes a place where we just block our own good. We stand on our own hose. And then we stand there holding the hose, wondering why nothing's coming out while we're standing on it. A theme will give you time to grow into what you want to allow into your life. And so for my hope for you this month, this year, I hope that you have many moments when you suddenly realize that everything you've thought about yourself is an illusion, that something greater than you have ever imagined is sourcing its existence, and knowing that something is having an absolute blast expressing itself through you and as you. Something greater than you have ever imagined in your life is moving through you in every moment and wants to express itself and wants to have joyful expression of itself through you. Remember what we used to say, and we still say, we still think, there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. We are part of this one stupendous whole. You are loved, and you are loved in the beloved. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into breakout rooms this morning, like we do when we're in the room together, or we go sit at a table together and talk. We're going to go into some breakout rooms. There's some questions that will show up in your chat probably right now. I can't see it. And we'll have about 15 minutes, I think, to just get to know one another and talk. And then we'll come back and I'll pray us out into this beautiful new 2022 year. As we're all coming back, let's just find a quiet place within and join me in this moment of prayer, if you would. So I know and recognize right now the presence of the one life, one love, one being that I call energy, spirit, the force, God. So many names for this space of oneness. And so I know as we are all together in this, that we are connected in this time-space continuum, that we are connected deeply in this connection with that one life. And so today I simply call in good. I call in this idea that 2022 is this beautiful expression of life just coming to within each and every one of us, that our parts to play in it is clear and beautiful and expressive and life-giving. I call in so many things for this year that I hold this space of prayer for each of us, that we can allow what is ours to allow, that we can let go of what does not serve us, that we can be at peace, that we can share with our neighbors and friends and family and loved ones, that we can share with people we don't even know, because there is life and life-giving. And so in this year, may you just fall madly in love over and over and over again. in love with someone who unhinges your whole life, or in love with your spouse of many years who may be waiting for a little lightning, in love with demanding children and crazy relatives, in love with an animal, a cloud, a redwood, with the trees, the snow, the cold, the warm, with all of it. Just be in love with all of it as it is. Be in love at least once a day. May you fall in love with this fragile, beautiful world, with hard work, real learning, just causes and prayers. May you fall in love with wonder itself, with the grand mystery of things and life, with all that feeds you in order that you may live, and with the responsibility that goes along with that. May you fall in love with heartbreak and see how it's stitched into everything and makes you stronger and more kind. May you fall in love with the natural order of things and with tears, with tenderness and humility. May you fall in love with everything. And may this be an absolutely magnificent year for each and every one of us as we fall deeply, madly, hopelessly in love. And so I allow space. I give thanks and I allow space, and I give thanks and I allow space, and I give thanks again. And I allow space for the universe to absolutely blow my mind with this response to my prayer. And I hope in this moment, and I give thanks that these words just lift you up in some way in this day. And if they have, I ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.